The ambulance doors slammed shut. A crowd stood frozen outside an aging apartment block in Nairobi's Eastlands. The richest landlord in the neighborhood lay unconscious inside the ambulance. But what left everyone speechless wasn't who was being rushed to hospital. It was who refused to let him die. Just 12 hours earlier, he had pointed an eviction notice into the face of a 65-year-old widow and said, "The world has no room for weak people." Now, that same widow was kneeling beside him with blood on her hands, praying he would survive. How did the man who threw her out of her home end up owing him his life? The answer changed an entire neighborhood forever. Mama Sarah had lived in Greenview Apartments for nearly 15 years. The building wasn't beautiful. The paint peeled, the water disappeared every few days, the corridors smelled of damp cement whenever it rained. But to her, apartment B12 wasn't just another rental. It was the last place her late husband had ever called home. Every corner carried memories. The tiny kitchen where he laughed while burning chapatis, the worn sofa where he watched football, the bedroom where he held her hand during his final days. After his death, life became painfully quiet. Her daughter later passed away after a long illness, leaving behind 2 young children. Brian was 12, Lynn was 8. Now, Mama Sarah sold mandazi and tea every morning near a bus stage before sunrise. Some days she earned enough. Other days she returned home pretending she wasn't hungry so the children could eat fast. The rent was always a struggle, but she never stopped trying. Everything changed when Greenview Apartments got a new owner. His name was Mr. Kojo, successful, wealthy, always dressed in expensive suits, driving luxury SUVs. People admired his success. Few admired the man. He believed compassion created lazy people. If tenants can't pay, they shouldn't live here. Within weeks, he increased rent, removed payment extensions, rejected excuses. Single mothers, retired workers, small business owners, none received mercy. To him, every unpaid balance was simply bad business. Mama Sarah missed 2 months of rent, not because she wanted to. Brian had fallen sick. Hospital bills swallowed everything. She planned to repay gradually. Mr. Kojo refused. Monday morning, residents watched from their balconies. Mr. Kojo stood outside apartment B12 with 2 security guards. He knocked loudly. Mama Sarah opened. She immediately understood. He handed her an envelope. "You have 24 hours. Her hands trembled. "Please, give me 1 more month." "No, I'll pay. I've had that before. The children are in school. That's your problem." Tears filled her eyes. "This is our only home." Mr. Kojo folded his arms. "The world has no room for weak people." Silence filled the corridor. Neighbors looked away. Nobody wanted to become his next target. He turned around. "If you're still here tomorrow, your belongings will be outside." He walked away. The children quietly watched everything through the doorway. That broke Mama Sarah more than the eviction itself.
That evening, Brian asked, "Grandma, why is he so cruel?" She sighed. "Pain can make people hard, but he's rich. Money doesn't always soften the heart." Lynn whispered, "Do you hate him?" Mama Sarah smiled sadly. "No." "Why not?" "Because hatred grows inside the person carrying it." The children didn't fully understand, but they remembered those words. Mama Sarah spent the evening packing. Old family photographs, school books, cooking pots. Their entire life fit into a few boxes. Still, she prayed before sleeping. "Lord, I don't understand this, but help me never lose kindness." Around 9:30 p.m., heavy rain began falling. Electricity flickered. Thunder echoed across the estate. Mr. Kojo had just returned from a business dinner. He parked near the entrance. As he hurried toward the building, he suddenly grabbed his chest. His breathing became shallow, his vision blurred. He stumbled, missed a step, hit the concrete pavement hard. His phone slid several meters away. Rain soaked his clothes. Residents saw him through their windows. Some recognized him. Nobody moved. One whispered, "He deserves it." Another said, "My mother threw him out." Others simply closed their curtains. Mama Sarah heard the fall while placing blankets into a suitcase. She opened her door, saw him lying in the rain. Without thinking, she ran. She knelt beside him. "Mr. Kojo." No response. His breathing was weak. She shouted for help. Nobody came. She sent Brian to borrow a phone because hers had no airtime. Lynn ran for the estate watchman. Mama Sarah removed her shawl, placed it beneath his head, covered him from the rain with the only umbrella she owned. She spoke gently, "Stay with us." Minutes felt like hours. Finally, an ambulance arrived. The paramedics immediately began treatment. One looked at Mama Sarah. If you hadn't acted so quickly, he might not have survived. She quietly stepped back, soaked, shivering, forgotten by everyone. 2 days later, Mr. Kojo woke up in hospital. His first question surprised everyone. "Who called the ambulance?" His assistant answered, "A tenant." "Which one?"
Mama Sarah, sir.
"Mama Sarah."
She
He
was the only one
frowned.
who came to
"The
your rescue."
widow?" "Yes." The assistant hesitated. "Actually, nobody else helped." "What do you mean?" "People watched, but she stayed with you until the ambulance left." Silence filled the room. For the first time in years, Mr. Kojo couldn't defend himself. The woman he had thrown away had chosen to save him. The doctor later explained, "A few more minutes without help could have been fatal." Those words echoed inside his mind again and again.
After being discharged, Mr. Kojo didn't go straight home. He returned to Greenview Apartments. He stood outside apartment B12. The door was locked. A neighbor told him, "They left yesterday. They couldn't wait. They're staying in a tiny bedsitter across town." For the first time, the building felt empty. Not because tenants were missing, because something inside him was. That night, he couldn't sleep. He remembered every cruel word he'd spoken, especially one. The world has no room for weak people. Yet the strongest person he had ever met owned almost nothing. 1 week later, residents received unexpected invitations. Everyone gathered in the apartment courtyard. Many expected another announcement on rent increases. Instead, Mr. Kojo walked to the front carrying a microphone. Mama Sarah had also been invited, confused and hesitant. The crowd fell silent. He looked directly at her. Then, to everyone's shock, he slowly knelt. "I have spent my life believing money measured a person's worth. I was wrong. My life was saved by the woman I called weak. I publicly ask for your forgiveness." The courtyard became completely silent. Many residents wiped away tears. Mama Sarah stood speechless. He continued, "You owed me rent, but I owed you humanity." He handed her a new folder. Inside was something unbelievable. A lifetime lease for apartment B12. No rent, no eviction, no hidden conditions. The apartment would also be fully renovated at his expense. New furniture, fresh paint, reliable water storage, a proper kitchen, a study area for Brian and Lynn. Everything. The children couldn't believe it. Neither could Mama Sarah. But Mr. Kojo wasn't finished. He turned toward the residents. Greenview will no longer be managed by fear. He announced fair payment plans for struggling tenants, emergency assistance for families facing genuine crises, and a transparent system where no one would be publicly humiliated over rent again. "I built buildings," he said. Today I want to build trust. Months later, Greenview apartments looked different. Not because every wall had been repainted, but because the atmosphere had changed. Neighbors greeted each other. Children played freely in the courtyard. Mr. Kojo was no longer known as the landlord everyone feared. He was known as the man who had learned that leadership begins with compassion. Every Saturday morning, he personally funded a community breakfast in the courtyard. Not as a publicity stunt, not for social media, but because he had discovered something success had never taught him. People matter more than profit. One morning, Brian asked his grandmother, "If you had left him there that night, none of this would have happened." Mama Sarah smiled as she watered the flowers outside her apartment. She said, "We don't do the right thing because people deserve it. We do the right thing because it keeps our own hearts alive." Just then, Mr. Kojo walked over carrying a bag of school supplies for Brian and Lynn. The children ran to greet him with genuine smiles. There was no bitterness left, only grace. Sometimes, the greatest miracle isn't that a life is saved, it's that a hardened heart is transformed. Because one widow refused to become the kind of person the world had been to her.